It might be the end of the road for... Looks like it's just you and me. Hope y'all have been having a real good Monday evening. And I'm just here to bring you a message of positivity and self-affirmation. Ain't no thing, ain't no problem. That all has to do with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny coming out. Oh, shit. It might be the end of the road for Kathy. Oh, hell yeah, man. Because I think if it bombs, she gone!
And this time, it's for real. I think this time, it's for real. Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh, and oh, baby, do we have show for you today. Big show, girthy show, lengthy show. It's a whole bunch of show for you. I awoke to the most pleasant of pieces of news and information that one could possibly wake to. Something that I had been anticipating and craving, hoping, praying for years is finally here. And I'm speaking about actual news, a report, an exclusive. Kathleen Kennedy will be retiring as the president of Lucasfilm. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk all about it. Is it real? We've been fooled before. I'm pretty sure she's been retiring every single year for the past 13 years that she's been there, and it's been agonizing, and every time she somehow returns. So is it even real? We're going to discuss that. Doesn't even matter. Is it going to fix anything? Andor's playing goddamn rock and roll music. Are we too far gone? We're going to discuss all of that and more today. We also have a ton of other stuff going on, man. When it rains, it pours sometimes. The news is absurd. So we've got DCEU plans, a 6-year plan. The press event was real. The troll with Zack Snyder was fake. And they want to do 7 projects a year while also, let me check my notes here, while also explaining that they've already had to cancel several projects that they have announced. Interesting. We will break all of that down. You know what else? Daredevil Born Again, baby. Daredevil Born Again. Are you excited for Daredevil Born Again? If you're not, check your fucking pulse. Shit's going to be incredible. They had the world premiere last night in New York. Ton of information, news coming out about it. And we have the first reviews for Daredevil Born Again. We finally get to see what the critics are actually saying, what people are actually saying about the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again. And, oh, man, people like it. It's pretty cool. We also have comments from the Russo Brothers about Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Okay? Madness. Insanity. Every single time one of the Russo brothers opens their mouths to speak about the process of Doomsday, I get elated. That's the word for it. Elated. It's incredible. It's super cool. It's the thing I'm most excited about. And you know what else? There was a crazy thing yesterday. I can't believe none of you brought this up on stream yesterday. Paul from Heavy Spoilers, and also, Paul, how come you not tell me this? Paul from Heavy Spoilers put out a massive video yesterday about a big leak for Secret Wars. It confirms something absolutely incredible that we've been talking about, little rumors here and there hinting at it. It's real. And I have a massive video. I got up early today, and oh my God, I was cooking. I was so excited. The Kathy stuff was great. This was great. That was great. But the video I had to make today is about this Secret Wars rumor that Paul has. What are the implications? It's insanity. I'm so damn excited about it. And it feels like a sort of return to form for me. You know, this channel grew primarily between Infinity War and Endgame. I guess all the channels, but we grew between Infinity War and Endgame. And the coverage of Infinity War and Endgame, my favorite time as a content creator. Absolutely incredible. And I'm getting those vibes. I'm getting those feels again when it comes to Doomsday and Secret Wars. And what the Russos revealed yesterday about Doomsday is intriguing. It's interesting. And honestly, I think it continues to prove that the theory I have about what they are cooking is correct. Mind-blowing stuff, ladies and gentlemen. So we got a lot to get into today. And then as far as show notes are concerned for the rest of the week, you know what? I'm going to say tomorrow night, Nerdvenger stream. We're going to deep dive on the Sentry, which is epic as hell. I'm super excited to get into some Sentry talk and whatnot. And then I think, depending on what happens today and tomorrow, I think this would be a good week to perhaps do a little Nerd Theory reunion. I don't know. I mean, I assume they're going live on Thursday either way. They're probably going to talk about the Kathleen Kennedy stuff either way. I'm thinking about hitting Theory up. I could probably at least carve out about an hour, maybe an hour and a half, to show up Thursday on that stream and talk about all of this craziness, this news with Kathleen Kennedy, the future of Star Wars, etc. We'll see if we can make that happen. And then other than that, a pretty regular week. But, dude, there's so much happening right now. There's so much content. A lot of stuff coming out on the Clips channel. A lot of stuff coming out on the main channel. So just make sure you're subscribed and checking out all those channels because, holy shit, there's a lot going on. A lot going on. And then next week begins the watch parties for Daredevil Born Again. Next Tuesday night, we will be here. Tuesday evening, 8:30 at night on this streaming channel, and we will watch 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again together, and immediately afterwards we'll break it down. We'll have conversation Q&A. We'll look at all the things that were revealed in the show. We'll speculate about where the show is going. We will gush about Daredevil Born Again. I'm excited, man. I'm feeling really good today. A lot of cool things happening, a lot of news out there. And I'm excited. I'm excited. It's time to nerd-venge. It's time to get into it. And I guess we should begin with news that broke yesterday about DC. Okay, so we're going to start with the DC news. I know it's not as exciting as some of the other things, but let's talk about it. You know, we'll give our takes, etc., and then let's move on. Bunch of news to get into today. And the Q&A. Oh, my goodness. The Q&A today, it's going to be nuts. So as always, we'll start with the news stories, and then in the back half of the show, we'll break into Q&A, where I will be fielding questions, super chats, member chats, and just regular chats from the live chat over here on YouTube and on Twitch. Oh, I feel like today it's going to be insane. I feel like the Q&A section of today's show is going to be nuts as well. So I very much look forward to getting into all of that with you. Okay. Let's get into this, man. Let's talk DCU. Now, this broke yesterday, frankly, right as we were ending the show. The press event that was rumored from last week appears to have been real, and a lot of outlets put out information yesterday, which was accumulated from that press screening or that press event late last week. And it appears that all of this was done to give fans a look at what is to come for DC. Now, this is good and bad. I think it's good to have a plan. I think it's useful to, project into the future. What are your future plans to get fans excited and to have a framework for what is coming? My only problem here is, it just feels really weird out of nowhere. Frankly, the news is getting buried between the Kathleen Kennedy news, some of the Russo Brothers stuff, the Daredevil stuff, this news is getting absolutely buried. And I think it would have been better served at like a San Diego Comic-Con or something like that. So I'm a little confused on the timing, but here we go. Let's talk about what they said. One of the things that Gunn said, and I guess Gunn and Peter Safran said to press, is that they essentially have a 6-year plan. So they're building up a structure for their different movies and their shows and everything. And they do want an Avengers-like conclusion in about 6 years. So some kind of Justice League thing, probably in about 6 years. That's a plan. Now, how are they going to get there? Well, their goal, and I think they said they'll get to this goal within the next couple of years. Their goal is 2 live-action films a year, 1 animated film a year, 2 live-action shows a year, and 2 animated series a year. Now, I want to say one thing. I mean, first of all, let's just say right off of the bat, if you're in the chat, let me know what you think. If you're driving around alone, shout it out of your car window. Is this too much? Let's start there. Like, answer me right now, guys. Is this too much, man? Like, seriously, is this like way too much? I kind of get a feeling that it's a little bit much. However, I will throw in there that I think these 2 animated series might not actually be DCU canon. Apparently, the Green Lantern animated series that they announced is going to exist in the same universe as My Adventures with Superman, which was like an animated Superman show that they did. So maybe not all canonically connected to the DCU story. So maybe it's not 7, maybe it's 5. Okay? But I got to be honest with you. That is still a lot. Okay, so I find this presentation, the little press event, the secrecy, and the fact that, I mean, like, let's be real. They just invited a bunch of really friendly press, like a bunch of press that's really friendly to James Gunn and friendly to the studios, et cetera, et cetera. So they basically bring over a bunch of Access Media and shill people. I'm sorry, it just is what it is. That's how I see it. And you have this press event, and then all of the information about the press event is put out via outlets that are very friendly to Gunn and to DC. So it looks good when you kind of first see it, but I gotta be honest, like, it's weird. The timing's weird, right? Like, the timing of announcing this, making these decisions, kind of weird. Feels super ambitious, and especially because, like, we haven't even seen Superman yet, Like, what have we actually even seen in the DCU so far? Creature Commandos? We've seen Creature Commandos. By the way, the first character ever to be in the DCU is now on Tubi. I'm not trying to be rude, but that's what it is. Blue Beetle is on fucking Tubi. Okay? So that's kind of where things stand. And then Gunn comes out and he's like, we want to do 7 projects a year. We have a 6-year plan. We're going to do a version of Avengers in 6 years' time. Okay, pretty crazy, pretty wild. Now, here's the other thing that's crazy about this. While they are announcing 7 projects a year, they are literally also addressing 3 big projects that are not moving forward that they initially announced during their slate reveal. You remember? Gunn came out and said, it's gods and monsters. That's what we're calling this shit. And this is only a smidgen of the plan. And here's what it is. Well, 3 of the projects from that initial release are not even happening. The Authority, according to Gunn and Safran, the script had a harder time coming along. According to Jeff Snyder, that script was just too expensive. And Zaslav said, hell nah, James Gunn, we ain't making this shit. Booster Gold had a showrunner almost join, but then they lost interest. So that thing's kind of been fallen by the wayside. I heard it's not happening. Waller still haven't cracked the scripts yet. So these are all things that Gunn said initially were going to happen. They're not happening. So it's like so weird that the DCU news is we have a 6-year plan, 7 projects a year. Oh, by the way, a lot of the projects we announced already are not happening, but still, you should be excited. Now, here's what I'll say, because I kind of want to wrap this up and get into the stuff that I'm actually excited to talk about, right? Look, I'll give some credit to Gunn and Safran, and I'll try to be optimistic about this. Might surprise you, but I'm going to try to be optimistic about this. If they can get close to this, or if they can nail this, dude, good for them. Kudos. That's a lot of content. If done correctly, that's really good for fans, because if they like one of these projects, they have all kinds of other projects to sort of like take their interest and their enjoyment and go elsewhere with it. This is why Marvel is very successful. It's part of why I love Warhammer, frankly. You get into Warhammer, you like one thing, there's this whole rabbit hole to go down, and it's all Warhammer, right? So they're trying to kind of create that effect, and I appreciate the ambition. Like, dude, that's super ambitious. If you guys pull this off, I will literally be like, wow, good job. That's insane. However, I think even the most optimistic people would point out this seems crazy. This seems crazy ambitious, especially because we haven't even seen any of the projects. You're already canceling projects. So what is this announcement? How are fans really supposed to feel? That's what it is. So that's like your official update, guys. This was a big deal for DC. And if you're a DCU fan, I still think this is a big deal. Like, this is big news. It's a little questionable as far as, like, will they actually be able to attain it? You know, why are they announcing it now? Like, there's some questions for sure. But I think if you're a big fan, this is what you're looking at. This is what they're cooking. And Gunn and Safran absolutely want you as a fan to know that this is what they're cooking. I mean, it's coming through the Hollywood trades, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the report. That's what's going on with DC. Man, I'm skeptical. I don't know. I also think it's potentially a huge L. Anytime you make these big announcements and they don't come out, I think it's a big L. So you're potentially setting yourself up for a really bad time with fans here, or, holy crap, the DCU is about to be crazy. A lot of stuff is going to happen. Okay, so that's your news with regards to the DCU plan. Look forward to hearing your thoughts on that when we get into Q&A, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to actually jump now into Daredevil Born Again, okay? And last night, Daredevil Born Again had its world premiere, and I thought this was really cool. I don't know if you guys saw some of the images and the pictures and whatnot, but they had the premiere in New York City as opposed to LA, which I think is really cool. And part of the reason why is because, like, look, Fisk is the mayor of New York City, right? Like, that's like a big part of the show. Hell's Kitchen is in New York. This is a big freaking deal. Here, I'll show you this. I think it's so cool. This is the Empire State Building, colored up red for Daredevil Born Again. And yeah, they had their world premiere last night. Now, one thing before we get into the reviews, because I have this pulled up here. This is an aggregate of a ton of different reviews for Daredevil Born Again. I want to go over a lot of these. There were a lot of announcements made from the red carpet. I think the coolest one, the one that I think you guys will be most excited for, the one that I'm most excited for, is this one right here. Punisher. Jon Bernthal's Punisher will headline a Werewolf by Night style Marvel special. It's like a shotgun blast of a story, and this is an exclusive for Entertainment Weekly. So essentially here, just like what we got with Werewolf by Night, which was honestly kind of a cool little holiday special thing, we're going to get that with Punisher. The other thing that's crazy about this is Bernthal is writing the script. So he's working on the script with the We Own This City director, Ronaldo Marcus Green, who will direct the standalone special. And that's just so damn cool, man. Like, honestly, very excited for Daredevil Born Again. Seems like they've got a lot of hyped up stuff happening there, but I'm also really excited that we're getting a little special with Daredevil, or with Punisher. If you look at the back half of this year, there's not a ton of stuff that's actually getting me excited. Like Wonder Man, not really doing it for me. Marvel Zombies, even Eyes of Wakanda. Like, I don't know. A lot of question marks with those projects. This just instantly became the thing I'm actually looking forward to in the back half of this year, because I assume they would be able to get this ready for the fall of this year. That's the Punisher miniseries little Werewolf by Night thing. So that's freaking awesome. Let me know what you think about that. But now let's talk about these early reviews for Daredevil Born Again. Now, we always do this. We always look at the first initial reviews for any Marvel project. These are because the social media embargo lifts. And usually what happens is you have a bunch of fans and you have a bunch of critics. They go to the world premiere. They watch the thing or whatever the thing is. And then the social media embargo lifts and people start talking about it. Now, the last time we did this was for friggin' Brave New World. And the social media reviews for that actually seemed way more positive than I expected. And then the actual Rotten Tomato review and like that, very negative. Very, very negative, okay? So I just want you to keep that in mind. Also, as we go through this, try to think about this versus what people were saying for Brave New World. I think you will find that there is a difference here in the way people are talking about this show. And you might not have seen the press or just people in general be this ecstatic about Marvel for a long time. So let's get into it. First, we're going to talk about what Anthony said here from The Movie Podcast. Says, Daredevil Born Again is a gritty, ruthless, and unforgivingly bloody. Fans of the original series are in for a treat, echoing the first season's intensity and rage. Cox and D'Onofrio steal the show 2 episodes in, and all I can say is the man without fear is back. Okay, super positive. Talking about the grittiness, the bloodiness, the ruthlessness. He's back. That's cool. Let's see what the real roundup said. They said here, like a no-holds-barred street brawl, Daredevil Born Again is a return to form for Hell's Kitchen's most iconic vigilante that brings some much-needed grit to the MCU. Much more than just a superhero theme twist on Law and Order. It's easily the best Marvel TV show since X-Men 97. Ooh, damn. Now, the thing about that is that's obviously really high praise. X-Men 97 is one of the most complete and just fulfilled series that Marvel has ever done. It was truly shocking how good that show was and how well it played off of its predecessor, how well it spoke to both old fans and new fans of the X-Men. Man, there were so many people when that show was coming out that said, I actually get it now. I get the X-Men now because of this show. So that's really cool, man. High praise there. Cool to get a call back to X-Men 97. Justin Lawrence of Geekcentric says, Daredevil Born Again marks a brutal and bloody return for the man without fear. It stays true to a raw, gritty vibes of the original while embracing the MCU. D'Onofrio and Cox slip back into their roles like they never left. After 2 intense stage-setting episodes, I'm ready for more. Okay, that's pretty cool. Obviously echoing a lot of the praise for the show. I do find it interesting, though, that he said the first 2 episodes are kind of like setting the stage, but they're also still really intense. So that's cool. It's going to seem, or it seems like after the first 2 episodes, we're going to be wanting more. The stage will be set, and we're going to be like, okay, what's actually going to happen with this story now? That's pretty cool. Let's see what Rayon says of Sin Geek News. Daredevil Born Again is a worthy successor. Nails what made the original work while moving these characters forward in shocking ways. Ooh, that sounds cool. The grounded tone and grit is there, and the writing is as great as before. The action even larger and sharper. Traumatized, overjoyed, loved it. Whoa. Now, we got to dig a little bit more into this, okay? Grounded tone and grit is there. Awesome. The writing is great, as before. That's good. Action even larger? Wow. That's pretty impressive. And sharper? What? Okay. Now, look, I just dropped a video about Daredevil yesterday about how it's basically not like any other Marvel show. And I go over the creative overhaul, some of the people they brought back for the show. I got like 5 reasons why I think the show is going to be absolutely nuts and save Marvel. Go check that video out. One of the things we talk about in that video was bringing on the guy that had been the stunt coordinator for the original Netflix show. I wonder how many of you remember this, but even about a year ago, maybe more than a year ago, I remember talking with you guys on stream about how Charlie Cox apparently wanted to bring back the stunt coordinator from the old Netflix show, and Marvel, for whatever reason, didn't want to do it. When the show went through its reboot, not only did they bring that guy back on, they made him a second unit director. He's like heavily involved in the show, okay? And so to hear that the action is larger and sharper, whoa. That's pretty cool. Probably has to do with bringing that guy on. So that is freaking awesome. Let's see what Iman Jacobs from Business Insider has to say. Pleased to say, Daredevil Born Again is brutally gripping and hurls a symphony of violence at the audience while perfectly capturing Daredevil's essence as if he never left our screens. Holy! This guy did not skip English 101 and 102. Those are some big words. Well, damn, a symphony of violence? Holy, that's cool. It's not perfect with some awkward CGI. We'll talk about that in a second, actually. A lot of people have brought that up. But it's a bloody delight, says Iman Jacobs of Business Insider. That's awesome, man. That's super high praise. Let's keep going. Let's see what Big Screen Leaks has to say. A lot, seems like. Daredevil Born Again, first 2 episodes are an adrenaline rush, unlike anything I've felt from the MCU in a long time. Damn! That's high praise. Are you starting to get goosebumps, chat? Being back in this world feels so good, and you can feel the love everyone involved has for the Netflix series. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio slip into their roles again effortlessly, and Michael Gandolfini, is a scene stealer. That's cool. I can't wait to see what he does. The action is brutal and excellently choreographed from top to bottom. Oh, that's good to hear. It's truly a spectacle. This is a major win for Marvel Studios, and season 2 can't come soon enough. The show's first episode does a great job reintroducing us to this world again, and then kicks off into the new era in the second episode flawlessly, leaving me wanting more ASAP. Damn! That's high praise, man. That's high praise. Holy shit. Let's see what Rachel Leishman has to say from the Mary Sue. Daredevil Born Again brings my boy back to me. The fight sequences are just as violent as the original show and play with Matt's morality in such a poignant and beautiful way. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio step effortlessly back into their rivalry. Oh, that's good to hear. Not too much in depth there. Talking about the violence, the morality of Matt. I saw this in the trailer a bit where it seems like Matt is just not trying to be Daredevil. It's almost like he's fighting against that violent nature. I don't know if a lot of you guys have felt that in the trailer as well, but it almost feels like there are parts of the show where Matt is trying to be reserved and not go all crazy Daredevil, and you can feel it start to come out. I wonder if that's what she's speaking to. All right, let's see what Eric Martian has to say from the Toronto film scene. Says here, the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again dismantle and rebuild what Netflix previously assembled. What? The series borrows plot elements from Batman Returns and Batman Forever, making it somewhat familiar as a Fox docudrama procedural. What? Okay, this is definitely the most confusing review that we've heard so far. I think I know what he's referring to, but it's possibly a big spoiler. But it is interesting that he's saying it brings plot elements from Batman Returns and Batman Forever, making it somewhat familiar. I think he's probably speaking to, like, everybody knows Daredevil's a thing, but he's been gone. Where has he been? Et cetera, et cetera. That's pretty interesting. This idea of dismantling and rebuilding what Netflix has previously assembled, I think I know what he's speaking to there. And unfortunately, that's a massive spoiler as well. But it revolves around that line that was crossed. Some of you probably know where I'm going with this, but for the sake of not spoiling anything, let's just move on. Daredevil Born Again this is Dana Abercrombie, which is a wild name. Daredevil Born Again represents a new chapter that embraces a darker, realistic style while providing grounded, well-rounded characters filled with complicated past and emotions. It feels, looks, and sounds like the original while strongly emphasizing growth and change. Awesome. Kind of echoing a lot of stuff that we've heard before. New chapter, but it feels just like it did before. Really interesting. We just got 2 more here, and then I'll give you some thoughts. The first episode of Daredevil, this is Chris Killian from comicbook.com. I like that guy. First 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again breathe a new stylish energy into Daredevil that feels less grounded than the Netflix run, but more akin to the moodiness of the comics, which I personally loved. Dude, reread that statement. First 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again breathe a new, stylish energy into Daredevil that feels less grounded than the Netflix run, but more akin to the moodiness of the comics, which I personally loved. That is such an intriguing thing to hear, because one of my sort of concerns, and I've sort of quietly held this concern for a while, when you're, respecting what came before and you're trying to pay homage to the Netflix thing, is it a little too much? Are we clinging a little too much to the past? Does it not find its own footing? Does it not find its own voice? This was kind of a concern of mine because, look, I love the Netflix Daredevil show. I fucking love that show, man. Been rewatching it recently. It holds up. It's incredible. But it's not perfect. and it's not exactly Daredevil from the comics. And this might be blasphemous to say, but there are certain elements within the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie that are more comic booky than what you get in even the Netflix show. And I've always thought that the MCU does a great job of really bringing in some of those comic book elements and really putting those on full display. So, like, bro, that is kind of cool to hear, and I'm fascinated to see how I feel about that, okay? So, let's move on. Prepare for a gut punch and avoid spoilers. That is probably spoilers, the line that's crossed. We'll talk more about that later. If you know, you know. By the way, first person out of all of these critics to just say the thing. A lot of us are thinking it. Don't put it into the chat. A lot of us are thinking it. Unfortunately, yeah, it probably is real, and it's happening in episode 2. My biggest criticism is that some of the CGI feels rushed, but overall, I love the story and the vibe of it all. This version of Daredevil feels much more like a superhero than he did on Netflix, and is already probably my favorite Marvel Disney Plus show in recent memory. Oh, hell yeah, baby. Oh, hell, Chris, man, you're speaking my language, bro. That, like, as a big, sweaty nerd, oh my God, you said all the right shit. I'm getting chills, man. Thank you so much. All right, let's see what Eric Davis from Fandango says. Marvel's Daredevil Born Again comes out the gate hot. Among the strongest starts for a Marvel Studios TV show to date, in my opinion. The first 2 episodes are terrific, setting up a story that is part court procedural and part all-out brawling. There's a fight in episode 1 that is all done in one shot with a wild ending. Really kicks off the series in a memorable way. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Oh, dude, we're getting another big tracking shot of action. Oh, my God, I'm so excited. Really kicks off the series in a memorable way. Honestly, reminds me a bit of the Penguin. In terms of what the city and chaos, a larger-than-life gangster trying to rule out, similar vibes to the fights in Daredevil are already next level. This show might be some of the best brawls we've ever seen in the MCU. I'm instantly hooked and can't wait to see where it goes from here. Okay, so, guys, I don't know about y'all, but to me, that feels like some high praise. That feels like enthusiasm that I have not seen from reviewers, and certainly not seen from the first reviews for some time. I'm going to be honest with you. I'll put this out there. I don't even think the first reviews for Deadpool and Wolverine were this high. I don't. I'm just going to say it. I don't even think the first reviews for Deadpool and Wolverine were this enthusiastic. I'm feeling a lot of energy behind the words that these people put out with their first reviews of what Daredevil is, and it just feels different, man. Like, it feels like everybody knows this one was made with love and care. This one really matters. The whole squad got together, focused up, and locked the fuck in. That's what the vibe feels like. That's what the fandom is expecting. That's what the critics are saying has happened. This is such a different experience than what we just went through with Brave New World, and I don't want to harp on Brave New World. I don't want to get stuck shitting all over that movie and the experience that we had to go through with that. But Marvel, this is it. This feels good. This is what we want as fans. That other stuff wasn't it. I don't want to talk about a fucking 54% Rotten Tomato thing when it first comes out, the week before it comes out after 2.5 years of you changing this goddamn movie. No, this is the sauce, baby. This is what made the Marvel fandom experiences and shows like this that we could actually get behind and feel like we were taken care of as a fandom. I can't fucking wait. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the first reviews for Daredevil Born Again. My God, it feels like they fucking cooked with this one, and I can't wait to experience it all with you guys next Tuesday. Watch parties return. Holy shit. Okay. As if I wasn't excited enough, let's talk about the Russo brothers. Woo! The Russos back, and they're gonna save Marvel. Hey now, the Russos back. So, the Russo brothers were asked about the upcoming Avengers films. Oh, baby. They said these movies are going to be a surprise to people. A surprise. We found a way into the story that's very exciting to us, but very radical. I want you to think about that word, radical. Say it a couple times, let it roll off the tongue. Radical. I like the way my mouth moves when I say it, radical. But very radical. We think it's going to challenge the audiences. You love to hear that shit. I've been preaching this since they got on stage at San Diego Comic-Con. If you think they're just going to phone it in, you think they're just taking a big check and going to put out a bunch of dumpster fire Marvel movies with a 70-plus fucking characters in it and call it a day and fuck off to whatever other business endeavor they have, you're crazy. You're crazy. Let's look at this article over on The Direct. It summarizes a lot of stuff that the Russo brothers said. And I assume, by the way, it was the premiere of Electric State, which is a new movie that they have made. I believe Chris Pratt was in that movie, too, because he was also asked some stuff on the red carpet. But let's get into this. There's a lot in here. I have a lot to say. Avengers Doomsday gets exciting story update from director. Very radical. By the way, chat, what could be so radical? What do you think? Just throw it into the chat. What do you think? What could be so radical? What could challenge audiences? Maybe some of the things we've been speculating about? The article reads, at the premiere for the new movie, The Electric State, Joe Russo shared some insight on what kind of story Avengers Doomsday is looking to tell. Avengers Doomsday and the following Avengers Secret Wars will be Joe and Anthony's first return to the MCU since Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. The movies will also see the return of Robert Downey Jr. to the MCU, though as Doctor Doom rather than Iron Man. Joe Russo teases Avengers Doomsday plot. Speaking with The Hollywood Reporter at the premiere for The Electric State, Joe Russo, accompanied by his brother Anthony, teased an exciting and radical story in Avengers Doomsday, saying it will challenge audiences. Russo admitted to that answer what they are or are not looking for when it comes to new faces in the movie, probably be giving too much away. Still, he confirmed they are always looking for new faces, as there will always be new stories to tell. That's probably about the X-Men stuff. Anyway, he did tell Deadline in a different interview, though, that anybody in the Marvel bag could show up for this movie. Russo shared with THR that beyond the question of who will be in the movies, he thinks both Doomsday and Secret Wars will be a surprise to people. He explained that he feels they found a way into the story, and he described it as both exciting and radical. Radical. Ultimately, he believes it will challenge audiences. Here is the quote again. And I think these movies are going to be a surprise to people. We found a way into the story that's very exciting to us, but we think very radical. And I think it's going to challenge audiences. Expanding on this idea, he said, I think we found a way into the story that's going to be challenging for audiences. It's challenging for us to execute, and that's really exciting to us. Fascinating. Fascinating. Okay, so what does this mean? What could this possibly indicate? Well, I think the most important thing to bring up here and the thing to really focus on is that they have a story idea. Now, I think that's obvious, but to some of you, you don't believe it. There's some people out there, and of course, you know, the community and I, we butt heads a lot about this RDJ Doctor Doom thing. Frankly, I'm very optimistic about RDJ Doctor Doom. I feel like I know what they're cooking. I'm very excited for what I think the story will be that the Russos are dealing with, right? And by the way, more of that was actually brought to light yesterday when Paul from Heavy Spoilers dropped a big spoiler video about something he heard about Secret Wars. I have a follow-up video to that video that's going to drop later today that's going to go into what Paul revealed and why that impacts a whole bunch of other rumors and things that we've been talking about. So it's all really, really juicy. But let's take it all back to the sort of fundamental core plays. there's a story here. This was something that the Russos recently spoke about when they said that at first McFeely was not really willing to do this. Do you guys remember that article? He asked about what they would even do. He initially said no, and then he thought about it all night, came up with an incredibly radical idea for the story, and that was their in. The way it was described was that it was something that activated the whole team. It got them all to not only want to make this movie, but to want to tell this difficult story, this really interesting thing that they were cooking with as far as Doomsday, Secret Wars, and how to deal with all of these characters, all of these emotions, etc. So, to me, I find it fascinating that they continue to talk about this idea. Now, last night, they give even more insight, more than they ever have before, talking about how this idea is going to surprise people. It's radical, and it's going to challenge audiences. Okay? So, surprising, radical, and going to challenge audiences. All right. Now, to me, this all has to do with RDJ's Doctor Doom and the idea of what the heroes were during the Infinity Saga. And I continue to believe that this RDJ Doctor Doom that we are actually going to see, he is more of an actual representation of what this Tony Stark character actually is. And I'm speaking to what I think will go down as maybe the biggest retcon and the biggest shocking surprise of maybe the last 50 years of pop culture. I think personally, this will be more shocking than Luke, I am your father, Darth Vader, and the Luke Skywalker reveal. And this reveal will essentially be that the person that we followed as Tony Stark during the Infinity Saga, he was never actually Tony Stark. Not by blood, anyway. He was actually a Victor Von Doom variant that was adopted by the Starks and raised as Tony Stark. Now, the reason that I mean, there's a million reasons why I think that's going on, but when I hear these new comments from the Russos, okay, and they're talking about surprising people, they're talking about being radical, and they're talking about challenging audiences, right? Well, all of a sudden, all three of those things work perfectly and exactly with what I think they are actually cooking. And the whole idea is something like nature versus nurture. What makes a hero? And I think what they're going to do is going to be such an interesting, intriguing, and shocking retcon of the Tony Stark character. And then they'll build up, I think, the fact that he was still Tony Stark via the Secret Wars film. Because essentially the question will be after Doomsday, well, this now is Doctor Doom. That guy was never Tony Stark. So did we ever even actually have a hero? Was he ever actually a hero? Or was he just Doom doing Doom shit the entire time? And it sort of recontextualizes a lot of what you thought was going on in the Infinity Saga. But ultimately, I think it will take us into a place where, regardless of the guy's DNA, regardless of who his biological parents were, he was Iron Man. Not because of being like born of Howard Stark and born of, you know, Howard's wife. No, but because he was raised as a Stark, became Iron Man, built the suit, you know, built the arc reactor, built Ultron, built all sorts of stuff. He ultimately is still Tony Stark. And that'll sort of be reinforced by the Secret Wars film and sort of overcoming that thing. But ultimately, that idea, that shocking, radical, challenging, surprising idea, I continue to believe is actually what they are cooking. And I think it is carrying them into really interesting character places. Now, I don't want to get into specific spoilers and leaks because there's other stuff, like basically I'm kind of hinting at the Dark Avengers, the OG versions of the Dark Avengers. We'll talk more about that in the video later today. But man, they are really cooking some radical shit. And basically, I'm at a point where until the Russos open their mouths and say something that contradicts what I think is happening, I gotta continue to believe that it's real. I mean, guys, look, I know not all of you believe this. Okay, I know not all of you believe that this is real, but you have to admit one thing. If you're gonna be fair about this, you gotta admit one thing. You have to admit that every new piece of info from the Russos, it actually does fit with my theory. Admit that at the very least. I don't know that 100% it's true. However, I'm telling you right now, every single time these guys open their mouths, it reaffirms my theory. Like, come on, man. You gotta admit, as vague as it is, surprising people, finding a way into a story that excites us, being radical and challenging the audience, you gotta admit, all of that fits perfectly with what I would consider to be the greatest retcon maybe ever in pop culture, and one of the most shocking things that will ever happen to a big brand and a big franchise and a big IP like this. One last thing on this, and then we'll move on to the Kathleen Kennedy stuff, because that's really why we're all here. That's what we're really excited to talk about. One more piece on this is, initially, Marvel Studios did not want to do whatever this was. Whatever the idea is that the Russos have, when they initially pitched it, Marvel said no. We know that. Okay? Now, I can't help but think that part of why is because they looked at the pitch and they were like, there's no way we can retcon the Tony Stark Iron Man thing. There's no way we can actually do that. It would be too risky. It would be too ballsy. It would be too crazy. But ultimately, maybe just there wasn't another good option. They ultimately decided to do it. Everybody's on board, and they're doing it right now. So, wow. This shit's crazy. So I wanted to bring that up. I'm obviously really excited about what the Russo brothers are doing. And we'll talk more about that in other videos and streams, I am sure. Let me know your thoughts. We'll talk about it today in Q&A. You know, about to get into Q&A. Should be really exciting. Okay. So, I think it's time. I think we need to discuss Kathleen Kennedy. Is she really gone? Now, late last night, I think it's Matthew Baloney, right? Am I wrong about this? I think it's Matt. Late last night on Puck, which is it's not a Hollywood show. It's like a little journalistic outlet, but it's very reliable. I've purchased and read a lot of their stories over the past couple of years. Fascinating stuff. And last night they put out an exclusive. Okay, and the exclusive is that Kathleen Kennedy will step down. Okay, yeah, it's Matthew Baloney. I'll put it up here. This is the Puck News big story that broke. Okay, and here's the thing. He is saying that it's absolutely happening. It's happening. After years of speculation and polite urging from observers like me, Kathleen Kennedy has informed Disney, as well as friends and associates, that she will exit as Lucasfilm president by the end of the year. Per 3 sources, Disney and Kennedy's personal publicist declined to comment. Now, the thing is, man, Matthew Baloney is a very, very good journalist. He's saying in the opening paragraph that there are 3 different sources that are reporting this to him. I completely understand why people would be skeptical of this news. We have basically heard for years that Kathleen Kennedy's going to retire. All kinds of news, all kinds of updates, all kinds of stories, and yet she persists. She just keeps doing that job. This time is different for a couple of different reasons. Number one, Matt actually putting it out there as an exclusive, putting his ass on the line, and actually reporting it. But on top of that, there's a lot of conversation with other insiders and scoopers out there online. So this is Andrew Salazar. Andrew Salazar is the co-owner and the managing editor of Discussing Film. Also, has other websites, et cetera, et cetera. This is what Andrew said yesterday. I've been glued to my laptop for the past hour, so I was a bit late posting this. But yeah, some of us had heard whispers of this since last year. Now, this part's really interesting. Her replacements are exactly who you think they are going to be, by the way. Now, before we get too ahead of ourselves and talk about John and Dave and holy shit, maybe we can actually get Star Wars back, let's acknowledge that insiders have been talking about this for a long time. I remember when Jeff Snyder was speaking about how she probably, I forget exactly the context of what Jeff was saying, but I remember he was talking about Celebration, Kathleen Kennedy potentially moving on, and he worded it in such a way where I was like, dude, she's probably going to retire at Celebration. That's probably like what the plan is, okay? And I remember this started to pick up a lot of buzz. A lot of people were talking about it. Andrew here is kind of implying that he heard things last year around that same time that were suggesting that this is actually real. In the Puck article, there's a lot of interesting things being mentioned, like they're selling apparently a house. They've sold a house already. They're selling a bunch of artwork from LA. Apparently friends and close associates have been hearing that Kathy's looking forward to working more with Frank Marshall, her husband. So there's essentially a ton of evidence that it's actually real this time and that Kathleen Kennedy will be retiring by the end of 2025. Again, totally acknowledge that we've been on this roller coaster ride for a long time. People are not sure. Is it real this time? Is it just like all the other times? I'm telling you right now, I feel like it's real this time. I feel like Baloney going out on a limb, posting the exclusive, creating an entire cycle of news. Fascinating, very ballsy, but he did it. He also really doesn't like Kathleen Kennedy. At this point, who does like Kathleen Kennedy, though? Let's be real. Andrew here talking about it. I find that fascinating. I think it's real, guys. I think she will be gone. Now, a couple other questions with regards to this. I think the main one is like, does this even really matter? Okay, so I had some conversation with some fans earlier today. I was talking to some people on the timeline. I saw, for instance, Eckhart's Ladder kind of suggesting that this doesn't even really matter. They will just put another stooge in there, like corporate stooge. And this is not happening because Disney is actually upset with Kathleen Kennedy, but instead it's happening because Kathleen Kennedy is old. And I think that's fair. Like, she's 72 years old. She's had a long career. Yeah, she probably wants to retire, but here's the thing. She's not really going to retire. She's actually going to go work with Frank Marshall and do some producing. She might even produce stuff for Disney. Like, think more Amy Pascal leaving Sony after the emails and less like George leaving and going to work on his museum, right? The point is, I think there are a lot of people in the fandom that are viewing this thing with Kathy as kind of a nothing burger. And essentially, they either feel that, number one, Disney is just happy with Star Wars, and so nothing's going to change. This is just because she's older, and so therefore, it's not really worth getting excited about, because it's not like Disney was like, yo, your shit is fucked up. You better get out of there because we need somebody else in there. And look, maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe maybe that is fair. I think that's number one. People think that's what's going on. Number two, people think it actually won't matter even if they are bringing new people in to try to help, because so much damage has already been done, and the person that will replace her will very likely just continue what Kathy wanted, mainly like Rey movies and a focus on the sequel trilogy, right? So that is sort of the more pessimistic version of the fandom. And by the way, they might be right. I mean, if it's Carrie Beck, L. Big old fucking L. Probably Eckhart is right. It's literally just more corporate stoogey, corporate product bullshit. And there's very likely to be any real change at Lucasfilm. Okay? That's fair. However, if it's John and Dave, and if what Andrew is saying here, because look, you got to interpret this how you interpret it, right? Andrew's literally saying her replacement/replacements are exactly who you think they're going to be, by the way. To me, that's John and Dave. Like, if somebody that's an insider is speaking to other insiders, and they say her replacements are exactly who you think they're going to be. That means John and Dave to me. Okay? And I gotta say, the John and Dave thing gets me optimistic, mostly because I've heard that both John and Dave have had disagreements with Kathy about how to be doing this. Now, Dave is much more of a company guy, and he's not really going to make waves. He's not really going to fight. But I've heard that Jon Favreau and Kathleen Kennedy, dude, that beef is real. And they really have problems with each other. They're not necessarily going to put it out on Front Street. They're not going to tell us. They're not going to, like, it's not like John's going to get on stage at Celebration and be like, you know what, I kind of think Kathleen Kennedy sucks. You know, nothing like that. But apparently there is some serious issue and some serious beef there. And I can't help but think that if John and Dave actually get to take this thing over, they could want to do things very differently from what Kathleen Kennedy was doing. Now, it's crazy because we've talked about this for years. As I've said at the top of this segment, bro, we've been talking about Kathleen Kennedy retiring for like literally 5 years. And we almost always go back to John and Dave, and we almost always have the same conversation. They're not technically qualified. John's a really creative guy, maybe good on some business stuff, but he's really an artist. You know, he's an artist, and he understands technology and storytelling. That's his strong suit. Dave is basically just the biggest sweaty Star Wars nerd there ever was. The last connection we actually have to the teachings of the creator, George Lucas. And I think he tells some damn good Star Wars stories. I think he has a grasp of what Star Wars is in a way that a lot of other people do not over there. But together, that's kind of an interesting combination. It's essentially like the two nerdy guys that started a friendship actually made some cool shit together. Now all of a sudden they have the keys to the building. Now all of a sudden they have the big office in the upstairs room. Now all of a sudden they're the big bosses. And that is kind of an exciting prospect. I would actually love that, partially because they don't know what they're doing. And sometimes you need an outsider. Sometimes you need somebody that's come in, work fast, and break things. Because, yes, there's some business considerations, and maybe this person that invested this, that actually had this little thing that they wanted, this, that, second, and third, all that different stuff. But ultimately, if it comes down to those two guys in a room with a whiteboard, and they're like, what do we want to do with Star Wars? I 100% trust that whatever they come up with will be way better and way cooler than the current bullshit we are dealing with. So, I don't know. You know, for weeks and months, frankly, and maybe even for years, I have personally been conflicted about if it really even matters that Kathleen Kennedy goes. Because so much damage has been done. The brand is in the brand is in the shitter. Okay, it's real bad. So I have personally been conflicted on this. Like, does it even matter? Is it just too far gone? And then you think about John and Dave, and you're like, okay, would they even really shake things up? Would Dave just ride for whatever Kathy wanted? Maybe Disney is fine with it, you know? And, like, I have those conflicting thoughts. But all of a sudden today, I'll be honest, when I first woke up and I saw this story, I began to get excited. I began to get optimistic. I began to think about, what could this look like if it were very different? What could this look like if ultimately what we are talking about is these two nerdy white dudes who fucking love Star Wars, that have been trying for years to elevate it and to fix it and to make it good, and now all of a sudden they might get the keys to the car, they might have full control. What does that look like? What does Star Wars look like if those two dudes are actually running the show? That is actually the most exciting question I've asked about Star Wars in years. It's legit. So I think it's real this time. I think it does matter. I think there is a path forward here, but it's really going to depend on who takes over. Is this a corporate stooge? Is this just some business person? Or is this John and Dave? And are we literally about to see John and Dave take over all of Star Wars and craft its future? I think that is the question. And as far as like when this is going down, how is this going to go down? It seems like this probably will be officially announced near Star Wars Celebration. They'll probably use that to like let her sail off into the sunset. It seems like they're trying to get all of Andor out really rapidly so that people are like, yo, Andor's pretty cool. I guess Kathy's not that bad. See you later, Kathy. Enjoy retirement or some shit like that, right? Because we had heard reports that she wanted to go out on a win. And unfortunately for her, the two shows that end capped last year, one of them got canceled. The other one had even lower viewership. And we don't know if it's going to get greenlit moving forward, right? So not a lot of W's to be found for Kathy. Maybe Andor Season 2 could be one of those. And maybe that's the plan. Get Andor Season 2 out, then let, April roll around or whatever, get into Star Wars Celebration and let her retire and announce the new people that are taking over. That seems to be what's going on. Maybe not. Maybe they'll save it for later in the year, and maybe Celebration is business as usual as they try to just kind of get us excited about Rey movies or some shit. I'm not 100% sure. And then there was one other thing I wanted to mention here. There was a couple of people that are saying this isn't true. So fandom or Agents of Fandom, and I like those people over at Agents of Fandom, but they quote tweeted an article from Variety and it said, a source close to Kathleen Kennedy claims the initial report of her stepping down at Lucasfilm president is pure speculation and nothing has been decided yet. Yeah, I don't believe that. I believe Matt. I believe Matthew Bologna. I think he's an incredible reporter. This is damage control on Kathleen Kennedy's part. And look, last little point I want to say on this, because I think I've actually been not very toxic about this at all. And I've stuck to pretty straight news and some speculation, right? Now let me dip into toxicity just a little bit at the end of this segment. Part of the problem with this whole thing with Kathleen Kennedy is that she seemingly cannot deal with how bad the perception of her and her legacy is. And so part of the thing that's been going on, this has been reported from various people, is that she has refused to step down until there's a win. And she wants to try to craft a scenario where she can literally just be looked at positively as she retires. Okay. And I just think, unfortunately for her, that is literally not on the table. Like, I'm trying to be so professional and nice right now. This lady destroyed Star Wars. She is responsible for the destruction of one of the greatest brands in the history of Hollywood. Even if you're being charitable and just thinking about what she announces and what actually comes out, how things are delayed and how things are produced, even just from that perspective, I think you'd have to give her a failing grade. If you think about where the brand was at when it first came back with Force Awakens and where it is at now, I think she deserves a failing grade. And I think if you take it even further and you look at the culture that Lucasfilm used over the past couple of years to make the fan base what it is, ultimately that's Kathy's fault too. Failing grade. I think she's been absolutely horrible for Star Wars. I don't think there's a single thing that you could say or point to that will make that not the narrative. Now, if she names John and Dave as successors and she gives them the actual freedom to go on and do whatever they want with Star Wars, that will be a W for her, and I will give her credit for that. Just like I give her credit for actually putting those two guys together initially to create The Mandalorian. So I'm not going to be like, completely unfair here. She has done some good things, but ultimately the grade is a fail, and we really need to move on. Okay, so I wanted to just touch on this part here because I think where some of this is coming from and some of the energy here is like people want to defend Kathy against toxicity. And maybe around the time of Last Jedi, some of the toxicity was a little out of control. Like even I back then was like, man, people are going wild on Kathy. But years later, I think she has solidly earned the horrible reputation that she has. I really think she has done one of the worst things ever in the history of Hollywood and destroyed a big, massive fucking brand. So maybe this is all at an end. And maybe the future, somehow, some way, could be bright for Star Wars. What a time. What a time to be alive, man. Russos are cooking something that's going to trigger all the fans and challenge them. Daredevil Born Again's coming out. Looks to be fucking absolutely incredible. Kathleen Kennedy is actually gone. She actually gone this time. And we might even have John and Dave taking over Star Wars. What a time to be alive. Things could actually be turning around. There could be good days ahead of us, chat. Good content ahead of us. And I, for one, am pretty damn excited about it. So that's all the news, man. That's all the news that we got today. I think it's time to probably get into the Q&A and to see what any and every one of you have to say about all of these different topics. It's been a whirlwind today, man. Talking about the DCU plans, talking about Daredevil's first reviews, talking about the Russo brothers and their comments about Avengers, Secret Wars, and Doomsday. And, of course, Kathleen Kennedy retiring as the president of Lucasfilm. This is some exciting shit. Also, why is YouTube being so weird right now? Why can I not pull up the super chats? You're killing me. You're killing me, YouTube. Oh, maybe this is why. Okay, I think I figured it out. Don't worry, chat. I think I figured it out. Hang on now. Hang on now. Hold on through the night. Did I get it? Did I get it figured out? Ayo, got it figured out. Let's go. And let's get right into it. Oh, I also want to warn people, if you're listening on the podcast feed, this is where I open myself up to the goddamn ridiculousness of a live chat in a live setting. So we've been pretty chill so far today, but it's a good chance I get triggered and crash out during this Q&A. Just want to give you a little warning on that. Okay, with that said, let's get into the Q&A. First in today was 2 Insider Joe. Welcome to the Nerd Vengers. I might have mispronounced your name, but welcome back. Javier Mendez says, it's not entirely unpleasant seeing you again. Oh, man. Did you guys see the other clip associated with that? Where Fisk comes out of a restaurant or something, and then his bodyguard spots Matt coming towards him, and then they have an encounter on the streets, probably right before they go into the diner to have their conversation. Whoo, chills, man. Chills. Vincent says, she gone. Oh, hell yeah, man. I appreciate the love, Vincent. We're finally there, baby. Zach, thank you for gifting a membership over here on YouTube. By the way, Twitch, I will look over at Twitch in a second here. Just chill out. Rossi says, Return of the Jedi celebration and theory reunion, 100%. Yeah, I'm going to hit him up. If I can just stop on for like an hour Thursday night when they're doing their show, I will absolutely get on there. I will absolutely talk about everything I know about this Kathleen Kennedy story. I'll talk about the future of Star Wars, and maybe we can get optimistic. Maybe we get optimistic over there. Shalomi Leaner, what a wild name. Thanks for the 10. Says, I just wanted to say thanks for all the comics you recommended. I enjoy the New Avengers a lot. Oh, hell yeah. That New Avengers run is excellent. So I'm glad you're enjoying it. Tyler TM says, I used to pray for days like these. I know, brother. I know. Have our prayers been answered? This is crazy. Bianca gifting 5 memberships. W's in the chat for Bianca. Appreciate you, girl. Thank you. Holy. So generous. Jay Morris says, let's fucking go. She gone. This feels better than sex. I don't know about that, but it feels pretty good. I'll tell you. Xavier66 says, she gone. Appreciate it, man. Just H says, she gone. Holy. Aaliyah gifting 5 memberships. W in the chat for the memberships today. You know what? I'm feeling real good. Okay? I just got to be honest with you guys. I'm feeling real good, man. We got a lot of cool content cooking. I'm actually genuinely excited for Daredevil. I'm so excited about the Doomsday Secret Wars stuff. Like, I'm starting to get real excited. When I recorded that video earlier today, it felt like the good old days, man. It felt like the good old days where I'm like, bro, holy shit, this just came out about Secret Wars. It means this is real, this is real, this is real. Oh my fucking God, let's talk about it. And so just gushed about that for a while. And I had a good vibe. And then, like, KK's actually maybe gone finally for once. Like, dude, are we actually going to enter a much better era of, Disney content, Marvel content, Star Wars content? Because I've been doing this for 7+ years, and I got to be honest, the last couple of years have been fucking tough, dude. Holy, Star Wars, the bottom is falling out. Marvel, Phase 4, Phase 5. What the fuck are y'all doing? So I'm finally starting to feel like we're rounding the corner. I feel like the next couple of years are going to be fucking incredible. And I can't wait to go through it all with all of you. And if you were here during the low times, if you were here even when things got bad, just hold on, baby. We're about to enter into a bright valley of exciting, incredible, nerd-venging experiences together. And it's going to be even more meaningful because we went through the tough stuff together, too. Appreciate you. And Tosuke says, if KK is really gone, this is the happiest day of my life. I mean, I don't know. I think it's real. You know, I explained it in the segment, gave you all the reasons why. I think it's real. Furious Liquid with a 5 spot says, the Daredevil premiere felt lackluster. It should have been way bigger, and Charlie Cox's stock is going way up after the show, and I'm so happy for him. Oh, really? I thought it looked really cool, man. I thought they did it up big. Empire State Building, red, you know. I thought the interviews and everything were really cool. I don't know. From what I saw, I thought it was really cool. And I'll tell you, we're in for a treat. Those reviews were ecstatic. People were hyped on that. So I'm now extra hyped as well. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the support. John Solo says, I wouldn't let Kennedy run a Baskin Robbins. Get her out of here. The news today is crazy. I'm so excited for Daredevil. Holy brother. I wouldn't let her run anything. You know what I mean? Like, let's just be real. But no, I hear you, man, and I appreciate the energy. It is a crazy day. Just a regular old Tuesday, and all of a sudden, like, whoa, the news is insane. I'm getting real damn optimistic here. Space Trek Serial TM says, Josh, she gone. Play the song. We already played it. We'll play it again later on in the show. Let's keep going on Q&A, though. Dirty says, don't make a girl a promise if you can't keep it. Cortana. I let out the biggest sigh watching that Andor trailer. Why can't Star Wars? Oh, you know, look, I agree with you. This is funny because I was going to talk more about Andor today. In fact, I was even going to maybe come out here and be like, guys, am I being too harsh on Andor, you know? I thought that song choice made me want to rip out my ears and shit, but like, hey, maybe I'm being wild, right? But thank God we didn't have to do that. Thank God we got to talk about actually good news. And ding dong. Ding dong. You know what I'm saying. Rossi says, who's Star Wars Theories? He's the guy that's never making you those sabers you want. You ain't getting no Ahsoka sabers, motherfucker. Space Trick Serial TM says, do you think The Rock in Ambor was her final strike on the franchise? One last flail. And do you think we will just cancel everything like they should? So, I mean, these are great questions. You know, the best part of her stepping down, frankly, is the fact that we are even now allowed to ask these questions. And basically the question is, will the person that takes over, or the persons that take over, will they view this the same way, or are they going to make radically different decisions? Right now, we're like, dude, why are we making all these Rey movies? Like, I guess at least Acolyte didn't get greenlit, you know, for another season. Andor's kind of a weird one, because I know there's like a group in the fandom that really likes Andor, and I think that the Star Wars fans just want wins, and they just want to like not hate themselves when they watch the content, which is why I think so many people liked Skeleton Crew, frankly, and why so many people like Andor. Now, not to be like a total and complete gatekeeper, but I know best, and that shit ain't Star Wars. Okay? It's good content. It's competently made. It's competently shot, competently performed. The editing's fine. And I understand that when you see a Star Wars logo on the screen and it slaps you in your face, you then want to at least be able to enjoy what comes after that logo. Totally get it. And I think Skeleton Crew is serviceable. Andor is serviceable. But to me, it's not Star Wars. It's not like a fucking crawl that comes into the middle of a goddamn giant screen that floats into the sky as my ear holes are blasted with operatic music. Like, people, like, just fucking think about what Star Wars actually is. The experiences you've had in the movie theaters when you see these movies. And then think about what Kathleen Kennedy has done to the brand. Okay? Point is, to take it all the way back to your question, and I probably just rambled way too much about Star Wars and Andor. The thing I'm excited about is the fact that she's really gone, and there's going to be people taking over. We now ask, like, is it going to be different? We now have a reason to ask, is it now going to be different? Are they going to greenlight different projects? Are they going to make another trilogy? All of these questions. The questions themselves, and the fact that we get to ask them, beautiful. That's what it's about. That's why it's good that she's gone. Positive says, the Kathleen news is dope. Positive week coming for everyone And I get married Friday. Hey, congratulations, brother. Congratulations. Sending everyone love and vibes. Nerd Vengeance for life. Hey, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. That's very nice. But Duncan, thank you for gifting a member stream. Appreciate it. Benjamin says, Rivals was DDoS last night. Any thoughts? No. I mean, I haven't really looked too far into it. I think the servers are back up. They gave you a little coin. I don't know why somebody would DDoS them. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I don't play as much Rivals as I wish I did, frankly, because shit's just crazy right now with all the news and the videos we're working on. But yeah, I'm excited. I want to get back into Rivals. You know what else? I want to get into Mecha Break, dude. I played some of the Mecha Break demo last year. That game's incredible. So I'm really excited that Mecha Break's making waves, man. I want to get into Mecha Break a little bit later. Shalomi Leaner says, do you think we will see a Hellblazer movie or show? He's my favorite of the DC characters. It's hard to say. The current status of that is they are pitching a Constantine movie with Keanu Reeves, but from what I've heard, there's some resistance. Gunn might not want to do it because he wants to do DCU stuff. Will he do his own version of John and a little bit more like Hellblazer? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But the current status is like, by the way, that John Constantine movie with Keanu, dude, that shit is dope. That movie is incredible. I love that movie. I probably watch that at least once a year. One of the best comic book movies ever. To see a sequel to that would be incredible. I would love a sequel to that. But I also understand why Gunn might not want to do that. Yeah, I know. That's a whole nother conversation. You know, the other thing, we didn't really talk about this during the DCU news. Pattinson is not the DCU Batman, which like part of me likes and part of me really doesn't like. I'm going to be honest. Now that we know for sure that he's not the DCU Batman, my advice to Gunn is do not make another Batman movie. Do not make another Penguin show. Stop. You can't do that. You can't build up an entirely different Gotham and Batman and build that up over the next couple of years. You can't do that. So here's the thing. I'm sorry to say, I think the future for Pattinson is now over. By the way, I think Gunn might feel the same way. We'll see. But yesterday, Gunn said the script, or, you know, it was technically last week or whatever, but it came out yesterday. Gunn said the script for Batman 2 hasn't been turned in yet. That feels like language from the studio where they're like, yeah, it's not ready. We're not making it. I don't know. I guess we'll see. Gabe says, loving this energy, man. Feels like a new wave of hope and excitement for our beloved franchise. It's been too long since I felt this way. Gabe, that is exactly correct. And I was singing and dancing all morning, dude. Like, I was just feeling really good because, like, again, you know, like, not woe is me. I'm not trying to get all like that. But I mean, like, I cover this shit every single day. That's my life, is covering this. And it frankly has not been super great over the past couple of years. This was like today and, you know, a little bit lately in general, it has felt a lot more like what it felt like before. And I'm optimistic and I'm fun. Ultimately, like, I'm just a fan, right? And like, look, I know I'm critical. I can be super critical about things. I acknowledge that. I can be kind of a butthole about things if I get hung up on something. Absolutely acknowledge that. But I did not get into this to shit on stuff all the time. I didn't. I did not get into this to try to deconstruct and detract every single thing that the studios put out. No, I actually think Kevin Feige is the GOAT. I think the MCU is one of the coolest things ever created. I love Marvel. I love Star Wars. And even Disney, they created some good stuff. Like, they obviously fucked it up. But back in the day, man, I will never forget what it was like following along with Star Wars to get to The Force Awakens, seeing The Force Awakens in theaters for the first time, seeing The Last Jedi in theaters for the first time, and then realizing it was over. And, you know, going to the conventions, Star Wars Celebration in Orlando, where I got to see John Williams actually do, you know, a whole suite of Star Wars music and shit like that. I have had good experiences as a fan. That's why I started to make content, was because I was like, dude, I love this stuff. I want to be involved more in a community of nerds. And I also want to just say what's on my mind. I have a lot to say about these things. So to me, this is positive, and I feel good about the potential changes and like the future and where things are going. So I appreciate it, Gabe. Thank you. Aurelio Garcia Flamenco says, if it bombs, she gone. Oh, we already played it, brother. I'll play it again later on. But thank you very much. Rossi says, so since KK is gone, we don't have to talk about Warhammer anymore, right? Because Star Wars is back, baby. I want to see Justin hate on KK meeting. No, Warhammer is still the next big thing. Warhammer is still going to solve a lot of the problems here. And even if Star Wars gets back on track, like, will I be excited? Hell yeah. And I love Star Wars. So I'll be excited to be excited about Star Wars. But Warhammer has something really special. Warhammer genuinely has, I think, things that these other properties do not have. I'm still going on the Warhammer train. In fact, should we just shift this train into Warhammer? Should this now just be a Warhammer stream? I'm just kidding. Come back. Okay. John Solo says, also, you think Bullseye is working for Fisk again or doing all of that by himself? I think he was working with Fisk, and maybe I'll just leave it at that. But we'll see. Maybe not. But we also kind of know that Fisk gets the horn, right? The horn that's seemingly cut off with the Bullseye fight. Wilson Fisk has that horn. So there's some kind of connection there. The Vitamin Dealer says, sounds like they need to use fight choreographer on more projects. Yeah, I think they do. And in fact, I think he actually came on to work a little bit on Deadpool and Wolverine, believe it or not, which is crazy. Jacob Stowe says, sing it again, Josh. The Russo's back and they're gonna save Marvel. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah. The Russo's back. Oh, hell yeah. Thank you, Jacob. John Cross says, I'm most excited for the crypto mini series. Anyone else? Nope. Darth says, she gone. ROIP. Yeah, hell yeah, brother. Rossi says, so what are you saying is KK is taking her folded socks and going home? Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Mehana Elmami, sorry, I probably fucked that pronunciation up. Apologies. Says, I'm genuinely flabbergasted by that Andor trailer. I love that word, flabbergasted. KK isn't stupid. She's doing it on purpose at this point. She's a witch. Burn her at the stake. I mean, I don't know about all that. Warhammer is awesome. Don't care what chat says. Oh, hell yeah. I like that part. Thank you for that roller coaster ride of emotions on that super chat there. Really appreciate it. Jeremiah says, Star Wars has bombed, so she gone. No vengeance for life and much love. Jeremiah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Overbound says, she gone. Oh, hell yeah. And then Darth gifted 5 memberships. Overbound gifted 5 memberships. Holy, appreciate you, man. Sean says, Feige to Star Wars, Russo's to Marvel. She gone. Ooh, wouldn't that be exciting? Woo, wouldn't that be exciting? Overbound says, Star Wars. Oh, hell yeah. Overbound also says, can we watch Meg's video? I actually don't want to watch Meg's video. Not because I have anything against Meg. In fact, I chatted with Meg a little bit yesterday. And Meg and I were actually talking about doing some content because she likes Andor. I happen to think it's the worst thing ever and it ruins Star Wars and it's actually really diabolical and like everybody really needs to know why that happened. So we were thinking about doing a video or whatever together on her channel, and we still might do that. But it also kind of feels like this Kathleen Kennedy news really took over the Andor news. So we'll see. I'm going to reach out to Meg. But part of this is just because I like reacting to videos, but they don't play well for the podcast. So I have to do those after Q&A. And honestly, I'm not really doing a lot of reacting in general right now. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe in the future we'll figure that out. Blue Eyes Gamgee says, long live the Den of Nerds. Can we talk about how much care is put into Daima, the animation, the arc? I think it's fantastic. Chef's kiss. Yeah, I mean, appreciate the support, brother. That's the first off thing. Secondly, yeah, dude, Daima is incredible. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm not current on Daima, but I went and watched that episode with Super Saiyan 4 and shit. Oh, my God. So I got to catch up to see, like, how exactly they get there. I think I watched, like, 5-6 episodes and then kind of fell off. But the show's great. The show's great. I feel like it was one last incredible gift that Toriyama left us with as a fandom. So I feel really positive about that show and the future of Dragon Ball. I think Torotaro is cooking some stuff for the manga. I think everybody really appreciates Daima. It's crazy to watch how the fandom flipped on Daima, but everybody really likes it now. So I'm very happy for the Dragon Ball fans, which includes me. I'm happy for the future of the franchise. I'm happy for my friend Danny, Geekdom 101. Love that guy. And trust me, I know what it's like to have YouTube channels and the things you cover on them kind of not be doing that great. So got a lot of love for that whole situation. I'm glad Danny is making good videos, getting good views over there. And hell yeah, dude, just all the way very positive on Dragon Ball and Daima. Overbound says, Meg said Hollywood Reporter is saying it. Yes, I'm not sure exactly what you're saying there. But, yeah, we went over a lot of that. Blue Eyes Gamgee says, shout out to Rossi for the gifted the other day. Yeah, Rossi, he's I. He's I. Jedi Mike says, glad she gone so KK can help her hubby at Amazon fixing the Cavill Warhammer show. LOL. Nerd Ventures for life. Get that Warhammer W. LOL. Do it. God damn it, Mike. God damn it, Mike. You just had to do it here in the chat, too. Mike's all talking on the Discord trying to get me. He's like, oh, Kathleen Kennedy going over to Warhammer. Bro, I'm going to tell you right now, that they let Kathleen Kennedy anywhere near Warhammer, I'm going to melt all my figures on camera. I'll grab my whole Warhammer army, and I will torch those little figures one by one. I will rip apart my Warhammer books. Do not make me become a toxic nerd that gets clipped out and goes viral for being weird as hell, but I will be that fucking guy. Don't you do it. Appreciate you, Jedi Mike. 43 months. God damn, that's a long time. Kaylin J says, what if Doomsday opens with Doctor Strange and Clea helping Doom destroy the Council of Kings? Whoa. Whoa. That sounds incredible. Can I do you one better, though? What if it's Doctor Doom, Hydra Captain America, Maestro Hulk, Evil Black Widow, and King Thanos? What if it's Doctor Doom's Illuminati? What then? I like where your head's at, though. The Exodus says... Uh-oh, I lost it. Hang on. Oh, no, I lost it. Oh, no. The Exodus says, if Victor Von Doom / Tony was adopted by the Starks in 616, who were the Starks pregnant with in the 1970s when Tony and Howard spoke? So what's interesting is they were pregnant with the actual Tony Stark. But here's what's interesting. A lot of people have pointed out that Tony has a weird reaction when he is told about the baby being pregnant. And that's interesting because Tony would obviously know when he should have been around as a baby. So Tony's like confused. And the reason he's confused is because that's not him. So in the scenario I'm talking about, they would have a miscarriage. And then they would adopt secretly to cover up the miscarriage, and they would just pretend that that was Tony. Yeah, go back and watch the scene. He's confused. Go back, watch the scene in the elevator when his dad tells him about the pregnancy. Go back and watch it. Mojat says, we gonna get KK rant out of all rants in the next Diamond Lounge? Somehow Mojat's super chats returned. Star Wars is still cooked, but this is worth celebrating. Warhammer is the future. Yeah. Hey, appreciate you, brother. Glad you got that figured out with the super chats. I don't know what the deal was with that. Look, I was gonna do a Diamond Lounge this week, but brother, it's Tuesday, and I feel like I've been working for 2 weeks straight. So I don't know, maybe. But I think I could do Thursday night on Rule of Three, reconnect with Theory and them boys, you know, talk some shit on Kathleen Kennedy. I could do that Thursday night. Other than that, I don't want to promise anything. Last Eobard Von Targaryen says, Josh, what happens if Doomsday and Secret Wars underperforms? Then we pivot full on into Warhammer. Watch Those Wrist Rockets says, if you think KK ever opened a comic, Maybe to like stick a piece of chewed gum somewhere or something. Maybe. Steve McT says, how big will the victory lap be if Stark was Doom? Pretty big. Also, like, dude, like, I mean, look, I have probably at this point close to 1 million views on YouTube about this theory. I'm not lying. Like, multiple 100,000 view videos. The big theory one that I dropped went over 300K. I probably have, and by the time this gets confirmed, I probably will have over 1 million views talking about that theory. So, like, if people can't admit that I got that one right and that I was very early, then they suck. Because I did. Like, is that fair? Let's hear. Elijah says, Kathy wouldn't answer what she did last week. Oh, with the email. Yeah, totally. Overbound says with a 10 spot, retcon the sequels to be 10, 11, and 12. Make 7, 8, and 9 with Sebastian Stan, Billy Lord. Ben is a twin sister. I'm so excited about the KK News Josh. I'm excited about it too. I don't think they're going to do that, but there are things they could do. By the way, did you guys see? And at this point, I don't know if My Time to Shine is just trolling me or not, but she said Zendaya was being looked at for Mara Jade. This bitch won't shut up about that Mara Jade scoop. You know, by the way, I told Shine, I was like, Harloff said you're wrong. And she was like, who's Harloff? And I was like, dude, Harloff's a somebody. He once farted on Kathleen Kennedy. That's a true story. So I'm just telling you, Harloff's a somebody. I thought Shine had good, reliable sources, but I don't know. I don't know what's happening here. Brutal the Bear says, yo, what's up, everyone? Missing the epic stream because my daughter is getting a cast on. Ouch. Much love, everybody. It bombed. She gone. Bright future. Nerd Avengers for life. Well, I hope your daughter's okay, man. That's some scary shit, man. Ooh, it's going to be tough. If Liam ever gets hurt like that, and I assume he'll get hurt eventually, right? Man, it's going to be tough. As a parent, sometimes the only thing in life you want is for your kids to be okay. Like, literally, that's it. God, that's going to suck. But shout out to you, man. Doing big dad things, making sure she's okay. And this stream will be waiting for you. So appreciate you, man. Sud says, Unity, hype. Is Unity still coming out this year? I believe we will be able to release this year. Yeah. Now, obviously, things are delayed. There's some chaos behind the scenes. I won't lie to you. But I was actually doing some writing on Unity last night. And I had this moment last night because, like, look, do y'all remember? I was working on a Star Wars script thing. I've been writing some Warhammer stuff, right? Like, I've been writing some stuff. And part of when I write that stuff is just because I got to get it out. I gotta live in a world with cool characters and, like, do what writers do and build scenes and pull things together, right? So I was doing that. And I had this moment last night where I was like, bro, like, I don't need to go write for Warhammer. I don't need to write no shit for Sony. I don't need to write a Star Wars movie. I already have this fucking incredible, awesome IP. And sure, I have a lot of it written already, but I can write more. I could be working on volume 2, volume 3, and all that sort of stuff. So I kind of had a moment last night where I was like, damn, dude, I really need to get this thing going again because it's awesome. Like, it's just straight up awesome. And I think it deserves to be out there. People should be reading it, checking it out. And then, like, the work I'm doing as far as, like, writing and all the energy and all the juice and all the creative stuff that I put into it, I don't then have to say, oh, well, now I have to pitch that or it's useless or, whatever. No, it's like, dude, I could publish that. I could print that. Like, do you know what I mean? So I think Unity will still hit this year. It's looking like probably later in the year at this point, but we'll see. Rossi, thank you for gifting 5 memberships, baby. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Diamond G says, 1W and she gone? Well, actually, that trailer had such cool music. Oh, my God. Big W to walk off on. She gone. Yeah, hey, if that's what it takes, I'll delete my fucking video yesterday and I'll act like that Andor trailer looks awesome if that's what it takes. Jason says, KK News comes out the same day Revenge of the Sith 20th anniversary. Who's the Sith coming for revenge against her? It's me. I'm the Sith. Purple Funk says, if it bomb, she gone. Bye, KK. Hashtag Ranch Avengers. Hey, appreciate the support, man. Thank you. Mojat says, KK said, I want to take you for a ride. And we said, hell no, bitch. We'll wait for a different Uber. Sklebean says, KK gone. Celebration in 2 months. And Revenge of the Sith back in theaters. I know, right? All of a sudden, they're stacking some dubs. Doug a Ditch says, wait, what? Just joined. She gone? It appears so. And this time, it's for real. David says, I can see the reflection of your screen in the background, and we could see you playing Galaga. You thought we wouldn't notice, but we did. LOL, JK, she gone. Well, I gotta make sure I'm not liking a bunch of thoughts pictures on Twitter or whatever now. Holy, I didn't know you could see that back there. Optimus Prime Rib says, hate to disagree, but I think you only have 12% of a plan. Doom will be a Stark variant, but evil, and known as the Merchant of Doom instead of Death. I can almost guarantee you that's not what they're going to do. They have, like, you should watch the videos I've already made, but don't worry, because I'm going to make a lot more. There's evidence to suggest that that's not what they're doing. Daniel RPK said, not a Stark variant. My Time to Shine Hello said, not a Stark variant. The Russos themselves have indicated that he is Victor Von Doom. Feige said, this is the definitive Victor Von Doom. It's not a Stark variant. Toxic says, and what's up, brother? Says, KK gone, DD is supposed to be great. Doomsday hype. It's a great time to be a nerd. So excited for the future of these franchises. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, man. Appreciate you, Toxic. I hope you're doing well, man. Anthony says, I need to see Daredevil. Oh, boy, I lost it. I need to see Daredevil versus Hydra Cap in Secret Wars. Who's your dream team matchup that could happen in the next Avengers movies? Well, here's the thing. Is it cool to think about Daredevil fighting Hydra Cap? Yes. But he's probably going to fight Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes. And the reason why is because of character development. You know, Paul kind of set this up beautifully in the video he did yesterday. And he talked about how if you think about some of the best stuff in Infinity War and Endgame, like on your left when Sam comes through the portal, or Hail Hydra when Cap says that in the one thing, or I could do this all day, you know, when he's fighting himself and he's like, I know, all these different things. They play off of little character things from the past. And Marvel wants to recreate that. But the problem is Phase 4 and 5 don't have a ton of really cool, pithy story things. So what they have to do is take the characters of Phase 4 and 5, connect their character stuff back to when the blip happened and when the big heroes were there. And so then, therefore, it's way more impactful. So basically, Daredevil fighting Hydra Cap, that's cool. Daredevil fighting Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson, who are probably going to be super conflicted because that's literally the guy that they love. Like, that's their hero, and he's whooping their ass, and he's got a Hydra shirt on. That is so much more impactful from the story and the character perspective. So if you start to think in terms of that, I think you'll have a better idea of what Marvel is cooking. Right? Does that make sense? Tanimal says, who's your number one Marvel character that hasn't been in live action that you'd like them to make a movie about? Number one Marvel character, not in live action. It would have to either be like Strife, who's like a clone of Cable and like a really crazy X-Men villain. It would either be Strife or I like Hyperion and the Squadron Supreme. I kind of feel like a Squadron Supreme movie would go really hard. So I'll throw those two out there. Rossi says, Theory posted his KK Gone video. Want to watch it? I do, but like I said earlier, reacting during this part of the show is a no-go. Maybe we can watch it later, though. Brian Clark says, do you think John and Dave will continue the development of the Rey movies? So here's the thing. I kind of unfortunately think they might. I think they might. But what we can hope, like what I am hoping for is they want to put Rey into an Obi-Wan place, like for the OT. She's an older, mentor figure. And what really matters more is who's the main character, like who's the Luke to her Obi-Wan, and what's the story on what happened with Rey since the sequels to this moment. If those two things can be really cool, really well thought out, and not just like she's the bestest girl ever, I think we're still on a better track. Now, obviously, I don't want any Rey. Like, I think just abandon that completely, do new things with new characters and whatnot. But they're probably going to split the difference. Sean Levy's movie, and even before that, the Damon Lindelof version of the Charmin Obed Chinoy movie, these were both films that had an older version of Rey that was like an Obi-Wan mentor. So, like, as far as we understand it, that is still absolutely something that they want to do. I can just hope that the version of John and Dave doing that is going to be so much better than the version of Kathy doing that. And also that there will be a lot other cooler stuff being built around it. Right? So that's kind of the thing, but we'll see. Carl says, say you quit Nerd Theory because of KK on Rule of 3 and Star Wars is back. Who replaces KK? Say you quit Nerd Theory because of KK on Rule of 3 and Star Wars is back. Who replaces KK? I think it's John and Dave. And I would be pleased if that was what it was. If it's some corporate person or like Carrie Beck or something, I'm going to be super concerned. Callisto with a $10 holla says, although I love the Batman and the Penguin, I have to agree with you. Let it go. I think DC Elseworlds alongside the DCU would be convoluted and frustrating. I'm okay letting it go if Gunn does what is right for the DCU. I mean, that's where I'm at with it. I have sort of, my issues with Gunn. I certainly have a lot of issues with what he's done so far. It feels mismanaged, frankly. But I would respect what I consider to be the right decision, regardless of my personal feelings. If he takes Matt's stuff and basically stops it and then develops some Batman stuff and it's awesome, that's the move. Like, that's what you need to do there. And from what we've heard, and we don't know for sure, but from what we've heard, Matt had every opportunity to play ball and he didn't want to. So, Gunn has to do what Gunn has to do. And I think that's get Zack Snyder involved and make the Grant Morrison, get Alan Ritchson's son as, get Reacher as Batman, get Zack Snyder over there and do Damian Wayne with Zack Snyder directing Brave and the Bold. Let's go. Thank you, Callisto. The Fresh Towel says, Josh, you seen the Screen Crush video, all the good stuff from the Star Wars sequels? It's def the worst YouTube video I've seen, and I feel dumber after seeing it. No, I have not seen that video. That sounds like an interesting concept for a video, but it's also not anything I would ever click on and watch. You know what I mean? But I'm sure there's people that would. Like you, Fresh Towel. John Bow says, my brother and I watched the Daredevil show right now for the first time, and we're going to finish season 3 tonight before Born Again drops. Oh my God. Bro, that's such a W. Are you having a blast watching that with your bro? I love that show, man. I love that show. Aaliyah says, we'll find out who the real Tony Stark is in Doomsday or Secret Wars in the multiverse, and indeed, maybe played by Tom Cruise. Could be. Could be. I guess we'll see. I mean, I don't know. Even I sometimes have trouble. Like, I believe my theory, right? I believe at least a version of my theory is true. But even I sometimes am like, bro, are they really going to do that? Like, that would be so wild. Like, now we're into chat and let's hang out. Let me get Twitch pulled up here so they don't complain. So now that we're just kind of hanging in chat, guys, can you at least admit a couple of things for me? Can you admit a couple of things for me? Put a 1 into the chat if you can at least admit that what the Russos are saying technically matches up with my theory. Like, if you can at least admit that, throw a 1 into the chat. I'm curious. Because I know you guys have all sorts of problems with the theory. But come on, man. You can at least admit that, right? You can at least admit that, right? Okay, yeah, looking over at Twitch, it says we got to look at Sentry from the IMAX trailer. Yep, I saw that. It looks cool. RDJ as Doom is perfect because he has the genius, charisma, and the menace to be a true victor of Doom. Not just some Doombot. Marvel wouldn't waste him on a throwaway role. And Rob is wrong because Marvel doesn't change our plans over fat Twitter complaints. They just cast big name for big roles, and Doom needs a powerhouse actor. RDJ can bring depth, arrogance, and power that Doom deserves, so people just need to cope and seethe. I think I see what you're saying. I don't know that I fully agree with it. I think they're cooking something wild. I think when they say shocking and challenging to the audience, I think that definitely means something. So I don't know that I can agree that it's just casting a big name for the role. But yeah, I mean, he has all the qualities that one would need for Dr. Doom. I mean, do you guys... Let me just ask you a question. Do you guys realize that the first role that RDJ ever went out for with Marvel was Dr. Doom? It wasn't Tony Stark, right? Like, do you guys know that? You missed my super, so here's another one. Much love. Hey, appreciate you, man. You didn't know that? Oh my God, really? Let me show you something. This might shock some of you. The context here is pretty crazy too, so check this out. About a year ago, Marvel Studios themselves did a video where Jon Favreau and Kevin Feige talked about the 15-year anniversary to the Iron Man 1 film. And within this video, Jon Favreau talks about how RDJ was already known to everybody at Marvel Studios because he had come in for the role of Dr. Doom before. Check this out.
You. Tell me your memories of where that idea came from, because there were some other people. There were, and I've talked about it.
I fully understood.
Oh, and this is what you both are so good at, taking it seriously. And I remember we added the ADR line when Tony comes out of the cave and takes all the bullet hits, and then we added this very earnest, my turn. And then he lights the flames. And there was a high degree of cheesiness there, but Robert killed it, and I think that's one of those cheer moments.
I wonder if it's here. It might be a little bit later on in the video. I said on Discord where this was at.
It wasn't really until we cast Robert.
Here we go.
That I fully understood what the take was. And once it was Robert, then it was like, I know what every decision became a lot easier.
Should we talk about that? Because I think that's probably one of the greatest decisions in the history of Hollywood. And everybody has good days and bad days. And I remember on later movies, we'll talk about on 15th anniversary of those, there were dark days. And I would say to Robert, we wouldn't be in this mess if it wasn't for you. Meaning, we wouldn't have a studio if it wasn't for him.
That's true.
Or you. Tell me your memories of where that idea came from. Because there were some other people. There were, and I've talked about it.
I remember that Robert...
So just really, really listen. Pay attention here.
Had come in for a general on it. And I remember you had all met with him already for like Dr. Doom or something on another project. I think on...
Now, notice Feige's reaction here.
On I think he had come through on a maybe Fantastic Four.
Right.
So everybody sort of knew who he was.
Kevin definitely knows exactly what John is talking about here. He's playing dumb for some reason.
And I remember sitting down with the guy and I was like, geez, he just got it in it. He's got that spark in him and his eye and he's ready. And that's
okay. So let's just go over this again and then I'll talk about the context. Okay.
That's true.
Or you. Tell me your memories of where that idea came from. Because there were some other people. There were, and I've talked about it.
I remember that Robert had come in for a general on it. And I remember you had all met with him already for like Dr. Doom or something on another project. I think on...
Look at that face, dude.
Oh, maybe,
I think
maybe, yeah.
he had come through on a maybe
Right.
Fantastic Four.
Right.
So everybody sort of knew who he was. And
Now, the reason this is kind of like important is because at this time, if you think about the context, this would be literally right around the time that Kevin was if my theory's correct, this would be right around the time where Kevin is literally about to retcon this entire thing and make him into Victor Von Doom. And one of the things you got to understand is like Marvel loves this kind of stuff. They love this meta stuff. So this is why like Tom Cruise Iron Man is even a thing. The reason is because Tom Cruise was going to be the original Iron Man. And Joaquin Phoenix was going to be the original Doctor Strange. I think John Krasinski was going to be Captain America. And so Kevin loves these sort of things. And he's very in touch with like not only the fandom, but also the history of the studio. So he likes doing these like meta things. That's why Tom Cruise Iron Man is even a thing. So if you think about it, if my theory is correct, right around this time when he's doing a 15-year anniversary thing for Iron Man, he's literally in the back of his head thinking, we're about to retcon this whole thing and make this dude into Doctor Doom. And then he sits down with Favreau, and Favreau brings up Doctor Doom. And Kevin's like, I don't even know who that is. You know what I mean? Like, basically, with the worst poker face ever, pretending that he doesn't remember that he was an executive producer on the 2005 Fantastic Four movie, and that he doesn't remember that Robert Downey Jr., a massive star, was brought in and read for Victor Von Doom. Now, they eventually give that role to Julian McMahon, and Julian did an incredible job with it. I think it was awesome. But Robert was absolutely going to be Doctor Doom for the 2005 Fantastic Four movie, where Kevin Feige was an executive producer on. Okay? Kind of wild. Again, I could be reading too far into it, but I'm telling you right now, when you really start to consider how like deep this rabbit hole goes with RDJ and Doctor Doom, it goes deeper than you could possibly imagine. I don't even know how we got on that subject. I don't even know why we started doing that. But it is pretty crazy. Bet they announce Heir to the Empire and KOTOR. Ooh, that would be incredible, man. Let me see if I can find Tim's chat in here. Tim, I'm going to be so mad if this is like a $2 super chat. Let me see here. Tim. Dude, I don't see it in here, brother. I'll try to refresh, but I do not see it there. Maybe it got lost in the sauce. I wish I could search. Let's see here. Hey, Tim! No, I read this, man. You must have missed it. You said, so I took out the rock song in the trailer to impress Kathleen Kennedy. So all it took was a rock song in the trailer to get Empress Kathleen Kennedy out. They should have done this sooner. LOL. She gone. Hopefully. Andor's boring. I'm Josh's burner account. Community. Okay, hey, I appreciate it, Tim. And now it's a nice one. $10 holla. Holy, thanks, man. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's going to do it for today's show, and what a show it was. I want to thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for the energy. Thank you for the questions, the comments, the engagement. Oh, hell yeah, baby. It's a good show. A lot of fun things happening. I'm excited. So I'll have a big video out later today about that Doctor Doom crazy dark Avengers leak. It's real! And there's way more to it. So I want to put that video out later. You got to check that out. The clips will go out on the Clips channel later. Man, what a good time to be a nerd. We'll see what news drops. We'll be back at it tomorrow at 11. We'll deep dive on Sentry tomorrow night as a community. Good times are coming. Good times are coming. Grant says, Andor Season 2 fire. Not as much as Daredevil, though. We'll see. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And I'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? Oh, hell yeah. Oh, you need the She Gone song? Oh, is that what you need in your life?
Looks like it's just you and me.
Is this how we want to go out today?
Good Monday evening. And I'm just here to bring you a message of positivity and self-affirmation. Ain't no thing, ain't no problem. That all has to do with Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny coming out.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shit.
It might be the end of the road for Kathy.
Because
Because I think if it bombs,
She gone!
she gone.
Oh, man. I've been jamming this all goddamn morning, man. I love this song. I love what they did with the music and the beats and the lyrics.
She's gone.
Just makes you feel good. Oh, hell yeah.
She gone. Wow.
She gone. She gone.
You don't say that.
You know? Say that. Must we deal with the Empress? No more must we deal with that crusty hoe. I'll fold my socks how I like. I'll root for Jedi if I want to. I'll think that Rey would have been better if she had dressed more scandalous. And I'll always think that Kenobi should have been about Kenobi.
So you were talking about Indiana Jones.
Yeah, yes.
Then.
Always.
So we don't have, like, you know, honestly, there's not a lot of news to go on.
And forever.
Yet, this still might end up being one of the most important weeks for the future of Lucasfilm and for Star Wars fans ever.
The Force is testosterone.
The Force is testosterone. I love that shit. Yeah, no, I mean, hey, good show. Appreciate you. I don't know, man. You know, for some reason, it feels like a new dawn. For some reason, it feels like things are about to get a lot better. And I'm excited. I'm excited, Chad. So do me a favor. Do me a favor. Open up that third eye and wash out your stinky butt hole.